You know that moment when a conversation quietly shifts? It starts simple, almost harmless. Someone mentions a name, lowers their voice just slightly, and suddenly the room feels more alive, more focused, like everyone's leaning in, even if no one admits it. And if you've ever found yourself in that moment, listening, adding a detail, or just staying a little longer than you meant to, you might have noticed something else too. A quiet awareness, like part of you is watching it happen, wondering why it feels so magnetic. Most people would call it shallow or unnecessary. They'd say it's negativity or a bad habit or something people should outgrow. But that misses something important. Because what looks like gossip on the surface is often something else underneath, something far more human. There's a psychology behind this, one that rarely gets talked about without judgment. And it's less about the information being shared and more about what that sharing does to the brain. When people engage in gossip, certain areas of the brain linked to social bonding and reward light up. It's similar to what happens during meaningful connection. There's a sense of closeness, of being in the loop, of understanding the social world a little better. Some behavioral studies have shown that gossip can actually function as a kind of informal social mapping. It helps people figure out who is trustworthy, who isn't, and where they stand in relation to others, not consciously, but instinctively. So it's not just talking about others, it's the brain trying to make sense of people. And that tendency doesn't come from nowhere. If you look a little deeper, it often connects back to earlier experiences, environments where understanding people quickly mattered, maybe where reading between the lines helped avoid conflict, or where staying informed meant staying safe, included, or relevant. Over time, the nervous system adapts. It learns that paying attention to social details, even indirect ones, can reduce uncertainty, can create a sense of control. So what gets labeled as gossip can sometimes be a form of emotional calibration, a way of navigating complex social dynamics without direct confrontation. That doesn't make it right or wrong, it just makes it understandable. Because not everyone is wired the same way. Some people process relationships through direct communication, others process them through observation, inference, and shared narratives. Neither is superior, they're just different strategies shaped by different experiences. But here's where it gets more subtle. The same mechanism that creates connection can also create distance. Because while gossip can make people feel closer in the moment, it can also quietly reinforce a sense of separation, an us versus them dynamic that the brain starts to rely on. So there's a kind of trade-off. Connection, but sometimes conditional. Clarity, but sometimes incomplete. And most people feel both sides of that, even if they can't quite explain it. If any of this feels familiar, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means your mind learned how to navigate people in a way that made sense at the time, and it still does in many ways. Because beneath all of it, there's a very human need to understand others, to feel connected, to find your place in a shifting social world. That doesn't disappear, it just takes different forms. And sometimes noticing the pattern is enough to change your relationship with it without forcing anything. There are a lot of behaviors like this, things that seem simple on the surface, but carry deeper meaning underneath. If this felt a little too accurate, there's probably more of your inner patterns waiting to be understood in the same way.